Hey guys, it's Mr. William, and it's another Wednesday, so we have another Ridge Kids Wednesday Bible lesson, and I just wanted to let everybody know that some things are going to start to look a little different. Now that school is over and we're headed into the summer, we're going to start sending a letter home to each of you addressed directly to you, so you're going to get some mail from the church. You're going to get, it's going to come out 3 different times. You're going to get one this week, for the last 2 weeks of May. That tells you everything that we're going to be talking about and also has some worksheets in it. Then you're going to get another one at the beginning of June and another one at the beginning of July. And each mail out is going to have our scripture memory verses, some worksheets for you to do at home. And our desire is that you do those worksheets at home and then you send us pictures of your completed worksheets. So let's jump right in. We know that right now we're talking about the fruit of the Spirit, okay? And the fruit of the Spirit is found in Galatians chapter 5, verse 22. And this is what the fruit of the Spirit are. This is where we get that. It says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And so we've already talked about self-control and we've already talked about love. Well, this week we're going to talk about joy, okay? And the Bible verse that we have this week for joy is found in Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 10. And it says in Nehemiah 8, verse 10, do not grieve, because the joy of the Lord is your strength. Nehemiah 8, verse 10, do not grieve, because the joy of the Lord is your strength. And when I heard that verse, it made me think about some things that have happened in my own life. When I grew, it makes me think about a song that goes like this. The joy of the Lord is my strength. 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 But then it reminded me of a special time in my life when I would go to Mexico every summer with my youth group. And we worked at a city called Matamoros. And we would go to the city dump, and there was people that lived there. Could you imagine if your house was inside of the city dump? If your backyard was garbage? And that's what it was like for the people and the children that lived there. And we taught them that song, the joy of the Lord is my strength, but we had to teach it to them. We learned it in Spanish, and it went like this. El gozo de Dios es mi fuerza. 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 And I remember watching the kids sing that song as they ran around in their house that was in the dump, in garbage. And I thought to myself, why are they so happy? How can they be so happy? The pastor that we worked with that lived there in the dump was one of the nicest men that I'd ever met in my entire life. And he was so happy. And I remember talking to him about that. And he said, well, William, it's just like what y'all sang today. The joy of the Lord is our strength. The joy of the Lord helps me to get up. The joy of the Lord helps me to keep loving. And the joy of the Lord helps me with my surroundings. And I'll never forget that, boys and girls. I'll never, ever forget that. The power that was singing that song, which is this verse in Nehemiah 8:10, singing that with my brothers and sisters in Mexico that lived in a dump. And it reminded me about the real story of Nehemiah. And we're not going to go into it. It's really long. But Nehemiah takes place in a time when the city of Jerusalem was kind of destroyed. And the people of God came back to Jerusalem, and they wanted to build the city back up. And they wanted to build the walls back up. But more than their city being destroyed, their hearts were not right with God. And so they read the law. Ezra and Nehemiah, the leaders, read the law, and all the people of Israel started to weep because they knew that they had messed up and they knew the things that they had done wrong. But Nehemiah said, don't grieve, don't weep, don't cry. The joy of the Lord is your strength. Today is a feast day, and they had a celebration. And that's my challenge for each of you, is to, even though this time can be hard, even though this time can be scary, let the joy of the Lord be your strength. One of the fruits of the Spirit is joy, so let the joy of the Lord be your strength. Do not grieve. And you know what? I can't help but think about a couple of our friends that come on Wednesday nights and Sunday mornings. Beyonce, Kenzuki, and Karina. And I hope y'all are watching. Beyonce, Kenzuki, and Karina. Okay, so I'm shouting out to y'all because I remember whenever we would meet, y'all would always have a joyful face. You would always be happy and you were never upset. And so whenever I think about joy, I think about Beyonce and Kenzuki and Karina. And the joy of the Lord is so evident in their face. So don't forget this week to get the mail, the newsletter that's going to come in the mail, and then we want you to do those worksheets and then send us the completed worksheets so that we can post them on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you so much, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day. And remember, the joy of the Lord is your strength.